Up, everybody. You guys know what's good. I mean, we already said the market would turn red. All right, there it is. Yeah, congratulations to everybody today. We had a bang up day. I don't know if you could tell that or not. But right now, we are getting ready to have Brian Shannon on. As traders stay late. So we'll go bang on that one. I'm just going to call this up while everybody follows over. Obviously, it's the same feed. So thank you so much. I'm just going to load this up, get the roll call going. But as you can see here today, kind of an ugly day as far as some of the major indexes go. We're not going to keep talking about uranium or UNG all the time. Gold, though, today just holding on to a positive day again. So here we go. We'll pull this out, pop out chat. Hey, where was that vote anyways? I said dump it. So that looks like that might have been right. What were the cues at the end of the day? I know we might have just turned a little bit red. It looks like we are just a tad bit positive. So congratulations to everybody that chose green. It looks like you will win, although the pullback was there at the end of the day. We talked to Michael Noss, and it looks like there is some problems here with these charts going back and forth. So there's the NASDAQ, a very, very choppy day as we go. So basically today, the market today, very range bound for most of the day. We had discussions from Fed Chair Powell, of course, with Tiff Macklem there in Canada, and he talked about restrictive policy needs further time to work as inflation remains persistent. Similar concepts and talk from Jefferson today. Hotter than expected data also continues. So here's the NASDAQ. Let me go back to the daily, and here we go. Nice little pullback, potentially seeing some bottoms here in the NASDAQ. I don't know. Today was a zero day. We wait. Tomorrow we get the big dog. We've got Netflix coming tomorrow. We've already talked about where this looks on the RSI. Can Netflix hold $600? We'll find out immediately. Oil and XLE. Ruh-roh. We are getting close to possibly getting some out here on the XLE. I apologize, man. Over 300 trades or so today. We're going to have a sip of water. That's one of the oldest animations, the Hydration Nation. So shout out to everybody out there. XLB takes it a little bit on the chin. I was noticing that there today, back into the 50 period. Right now is the materials sector coming back in. XLI. Downside again here today, down 0.23. So many names are at 50 period moving averages. I'm not sure it's time to buy unless you're dollar cost averaging, or maybe potentially not in to some of these names. We had a good day for UNH though. UNH today up 5%. Look at that bounce. Let's close this. Look at that bounce off of some nice levels support there at 450 as UNH comes through today with some good stories there. Real estate stocks fall today, followed by a bunch of real estate following a drop in housing starts for March. So that's this, XLRE. Look at the housing stocks today. Real estate downside as a drop in housing starts hits the market. So there it goes. This one, again, underneath the 200 period. Remember our friend Warren, Mr. Buffett, I believe, XHB? This guy was involved as well. The housing sector, wow, that really boomed out there for this home builders ETF, but again, a pullback in on this as well. Possible buy spots 94, 95 here for XH. This is XHB. China still can't get out of its way, man. As more of this political unrest happens, we have China hitting back again down today into the 50 period moving average. But we've talked about this possibly getting out of some of that as we hit the top of $25 again. Mega cap stocks today, led by chip names. Check out AMD today. Let's flip this over into the 3-minute chart. We don't finish on highs, but pretty close to it, up to near 164 again. Look how choppy this is, but up 1.78 as Stifel comes in today and upgrades a couple of these names. Both AMD and NVDA upgraded today, both holding fort, helping this NASDAQ stay petite Greensville today on that. Gold, SLV. Let's check out some silver as we go on SLV. Down 2.39% again there today. I say again, but we had a big move up, now a fade back in silver. I still believe that as a store of value, we know China continues to buy some gold. So I feel like this story is nowhere near done. I think gold can get actually higher than this. I think it was at JP Morgan. Those of you that are in the chat, big shout out to everybody that's here right now. Over 2,600 of you watching. Here it is right now. Ooh, what's up to everybody? You want to do an early roll call? Let's do an early roll call to see who's here with us right now. That's right. UAL has earnings. What am I doing? All right, forget the roll call. Roll call can wait. UAL, I forgot about that. My bad. Right there, UAL with earnings. We are back into earnings season. That's why you guys are here. Let's go to Benzinga right now. Over 2,300 of you watching. I don't see UAL on here. I am not going to report a number that I do not see. So we'll wait on that one. But UAL right now going to the upside. An obvious bang up move for UAL. You can see here up 4% year to date for UAL, but starting to go higher up to $44. Let's flip it over into the daily chart and see what's going on with this. So here we are. We are back up to the 200. I would say bang, but watch out for a fail now on UAL as it comes up to the upside. We wrote down here. Here, let's go over next topic. I'll change it. There it is. ASML, we won't get that. We'll wait for, that's tomorrow morning. We'll wait for UAL, and I think IBKR is tonight. Are we wrong on that one? IBKR. Let me just get that again. So not much happening on the daily chart. We'll flip this over. Not much happening right now either. IBKR is post-market on the 16th. Okay. So we'll wait for that right now. There it is. Raises dividend. Maybe IBKR is out. Let me just flip this over to a minute chart and see if we do get IBKR. So up and down, not looking too interesting right here on a 1 minute, but I did see this on Benzinga. So where was it right here? By the way, this is brought to you by Benzinga. This is a great platform. Releasing the news when they get it. There it is. Interactive Brokers raises dividend from 10 cents to 25 cents. 250%, 150% raise. Nice move there for them, but I am not seeing the report out yet for IBKR. There it is. Okay, my bad. So it's just not moving around. Here it is right here. Gap diluted of 161, EPS of 164, as we can see right there. Looks like they're going to, and then there's the gap raise on the dividend as well. So they're going to beat on the top and on the bottom, revenues and EPS, both beating, and a quarterly raise. So I apologize. Bang it out there for IBKR. Nice story. We like that one. 10 new stories coming in right now. Is one of them UAL? And yes, it is. Here it is right now. Live. Here we go. Breaking news. That's enough. I really like that, just a little long. There it is right now. It's UAL coming out, beating now 15 cents. So to the negative side, but they beat 15 cents versus negative 57. Also on the sales, we know they got butts in seats, man. Hard to come across airline travel now. Very expensive. Butts in seats, UAL. I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me. I haven't traveled in a minute. I just have heard that airlines continue to be pretty sold out. There it is right now. UAL shares are trading higher up. The company reported better than expected Q1 financial results. So here we go. Let's just have a quick look. That's still IBKR. Let's go over to UAL and have a quick look. Yes, sir. UAL right now up 7 and a bit on a good report. We did have UNH come out today. Pretty aggressive move today for UNH, but look what happened. The move was pretty much all earnings. After today, you could start to see a little bit of back and forth. If we're going to drop an anchored VWAP on something, let's do it right now. Let's drop it to that low of the earnings report and then see, look at that anchor. So the purple is the anchor right now, hitting it right there on the 1 minute. Faded the anchored VWAP pretty much all day. Hit there, took it out, but then at the end of the day, we wind up underneath the anchor from earnings. So there it is right there. Nice move for UNH. We also had J&J on our mind today, but we didn't trade much of it. Hydration Nation. I could put Hydration Nation on my board over here, but I know that they like hitting it over there. J&J. So a 3-minute chart here for J&J. Let's have a quick look. What did this stock do today? I don't really trade earnings too often, as you guys will know live on the show. And what I mean by that is that often you get this kind of movement, right? Like J&J will start the day. I believe it started the day with a nice positive move, right? There's J&J. So down there, we were basically flat. Good move there off the open, I guess. faded into 144. J&J down 2% today after all is said and done, but pretty choppy trading again. You could have bought this 144. That would have been pretty good, but you had to have withstand a 60-cent drop down. That's probably enough to get me out off of that day's bottom. But Johnson & Johnson, let me flip this over to the daily chart just to see how this is. This name's been pretty like, meh. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Let me look at a weekly chart here for Johnson & Johnson. I want to check back on IBKR. Not much happening. Wow, okay. Wow, Johnson & Johnson not performing very well at all. I believe that once I drop an anchored VWAP on this right down here to that bottom, yeah, we are well under right now and starting to fade. Anchor VWAP very similar to everything up here. Huge move to the downside for Johnson & Johnson. If you're looking for some value, you may want to pick this one up, but do not get caught in value traps because no matter what this dividend is, 3 or 4%, you lost 2% today just on the equity. Be careful with J&J. Obviously, as we continue to hit downside momentum, Johnson & Johnson looks like a pretty weak name. We did also have Morgan Stanley come through. On the week, it's kind of stuck here. We're waiting for this to break through $94, but a good day for Morgan Stanley, up that 2.5. We also had BAC come through today as well. I put this on the radar at 38. We don't get a 38 because why? Wow, just like JP Morgan, Bank of America goes the other way. So Bank of America coming back in today and again bouncing off of the 200 period moving average. Bank of America hits low right there today. Weekly chart not looking great for BAC. We've talked about some of these banks. Wells Fargo looks like it wants to break out. Bank of America looks like it wants to break down. Why trade? Like, this is the thing. You don't have to be into names just because. I would wait for stronger names, let the charts and let the price action speak. Like Wells Fargo right here. Looks like we might have found a top for sure. But if you break long, then this is probably a decent trade for you. I like this break long on Wells Fargo. So again, something to look at here. Trade the better names. IBKR came out with earnings. Let's just have a quick look on that one. Let's flip this over into a 1 minute chart. We'll flip back. We'll change this into 1 minute and see what's going on. IBKR right now flat. UAL comes out with a report. That's a nice move to the upside right there. So this seems to be working out for us. Nice job, not for me, but nice job there. Hey, an ETF that we don't track enough. If you are looking for airlines, and we will welcome Brian Shannon in just a couple of seconds as I see he's logged on. Welcome to Brian in just a couple minutes. We'll talk all about this. AMD reports coming up very soon. April the 16th is today. AMD report. I just saw it comes AMD reporting next week. We'll wait for that. Jets ETF. Look on the daily. We're still above. I think you could play weakness in the airlines by buying the Jets ETF. The top 4 holdings are all like 10%. UAL, Delta, American, and it might be Air Canada there, but there's probably one that I'm missing. So Jets ETF, do your research, but that's something to look at here if you are excited for that. Interest rate sensitive sectors continue to make moves down, including here the solar ETF in Invesco. Oh man, I mean, we could talk to Brian about this. I don't know if there's enough of you that are interested in this name, but Enphase could be a name. We've talked about Solar Edge as well. ENPH was the healthiest of the group and still is holding above 110. But guys, look at TAN. I don't know. I don't like catching falling knives, but this stock looks pretty bad. Let's scan it out to a weekly chart here for TAN, and we just close this. You know what Brian's going to tell me to do, so I'm going to beat him to it. Take my face off of here. I'm going to drop an anchored VWAP at this weekly low right here that goes all the way back to March of 2020. Let's go back to COVID lows. Drop that down. Okay, so it dropped it up here. So it's probably going to be, I could just delete it, but let's just use it. Okay, we're nowhere near, man. Once we broke that anchor, very similar to the 200 period on the high side now, but there's the break. The anchored VWAP, probably a much better break right there, $83. Downside, then support, 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 and you are getting killed on TAN. So I'll ask Brian about this one because this stock continues to go lower. If we're ready, he is ready. Hey, good evening and or good afternoon, Brian. I had a situation here with our board, which is Ramin, who's running the board here with our board. She said that about 4 o'clock I should be saying good evening. What do you think? Is 4 o'clock evening?
You know, if you're looking for an excuse to drink, I guess that's the way you would go with it. But
Okay. All
here
right.
it's 2:20 here, so it's not quite evening. So
Right.
I'm gonna stick with you know, me Central, which is Mountain Time Zone. So I'm gonna say good afternoon, Shawn.
Well, then, good afternoon, Brian. I hope you had a fantastic day. And me and you have talked about this potential move in the market a couple times. So, was there anything surprising today in the market for you, or the last couple days?
Shawn, you know, just the barcode nature of this morning, and I love that term, which I've completely stole
I,
from you. I
I
put the
saw.
little barcodes out there and stuff. That's a Shawn all the way. What has surprised me? No, nothing really. I
Right.
mean, the markets are doing what they're supposed to do. We had a phenomenal run off of last October's lows. We ran up, we distributed really for the last 4 or 6 weeks, and now we're getting a little bit of a price correction. We're coming down in these markets to key levels, the S&P at the 38.2% retracement, as well as
Okay.
an important anchored VWAP, same with the NASDAQ, the home builders, as you mentioned. I've got this monthly tan up, Shawn,
Yeah,
to
let's
show you
go.
something here, which is pretty crazy. Since the inception of the tan, the solar index, look at the anchor from the inception of it, how well this has traded along this as support and resistance.
Wow.
Just pretty amazing that, you know, that goes back to 2008, how relevant these anchors can be. It's not just for day trading, as some people think.
Brian, you might find a kick on this one, but who's managing this fund? Kathy Wood? I mean, this was $300. Now you're down to $39. I know you have a nice soft spot in your heart for the ARK ETF, but maybe we can call that up. I mean, you and I have talked about that a bit and sort of where that's been going. She's been right about a few things. Let's give some credit. Bitcoin, Tesla, but some of these other names. We saw one, and I don't even know if you know this, but her average cost on this Pacific Biosciences, come over to my screen here, just to your point. Keep on ARK for now, though, Brian, but look at this. This PAC B, Pacific Bioscience, Neil looked it up, and her average cost is $19 on this name. We're down at $1.50 and breaking lower. Not all of it her fault, but we can't be managing our positions like this. Let a stock that's $19, $20 get down to $1.40. I think you and I agree. Part of the staying power of traders like you and I is risk management. You and I preach that all the time.
Sure. I mean, I saw her fund is down 15, 16% year to date once again. I mean, people thought she was back last year because she had a bounce back year in the market, but uh, you know, Morningstar called it best. She is a destroyer of wealth. She has destroyed over $10 billion worth of wealth. Worst fund manager, really probably ever. I don't know if those numbers are, if that's true ever, but you know, a broken clock is right twice a
Yep.
day, and that's your Bitcoin and your Tesla trades. In aggregate, on the ARK Fund, the largest, the average price that people are involved in this fund is at about 60, and we're down at $43. That tells me the average participant over the course of 10 years is down 25%. That's horrific.
No, that's bad. And like, oh, Kathy?
Don't accept. Spam.
Yeah,
Market is
no,
spam.
sorry, that was from China. That was a Chinese. That was not Kathy Wood. That was fake Kathy Wood, right there. But I'll tell her you said hi for sure. Okay, so that's the move to the downside. We have some fun on the show. We also have a Powell call and a Warren Buffett call in case we're talking a little bit about value. I saw you mention today. You tweeted something out, and by the way, go find Brian. I mean, what a great follow. Thanks for the credit on that barcode. But you have so many great charts, so many different ideas that you tweet about. I saw you talk about SMCI today. So I don't know. I'll call it up on my chart and give you a second to do this. To do the same as well. So here's SMCI on the week. I mean, it's very, very impressive. This name just continues to rock and roll. And then again today, up another 10%. I mean, bouncing off of 870. Who would have thought that that maybe was a key level? This name just continues to run. We do have earnings coming up in just under, what did they say, the 16th? So just 2 weeks today, actually, coming for Super Micro. But I mean, maybe we should just play the trend here, Brian, and just keep going long, wait for that 1,000 break, and maybe we get back up to the top. Is there anything that our traders need to be concerned with, anything sort of attracting you over to SMCI?
Yeah, a couple things. I had posted the 30-minute chart with that 5-day moving average. That's the orange moving average. And I posted the chart over here saying we're at a level of interest. This level of interest is, from the anchored VWAP from that gap lower over here on this side of the chart. And then this blue is the month to date. I was kind of thinking that we might settle down in that area for today, and then tomorrow maybe pull back, create a little higher low here, and then get going. I still think that's a possible scenario for tomorrow, but maybe we don't pull back as deep. Maybe we pull back to here and then continue higher. And then what we'd be looking for, Shawn, because the trend obviously is your friend, and is the anchor off of the all-time high, which would bring us to about 1,020 or so, and the anchor off that gap at about 1040. So looking for maybe a little bit of a pullback in the morning and then a ramp up to 1020, 1040 is the way SMCI looks to me. And here's one other real important thing is this is where we were 20 days ago. Right. You can see that 20-day moving average is declining as the end of the day today. That's because we got rid of this data right here yesterday. Tomorrow we get rid of that data, meaning the 20-day moving average will be rising once again and should look like this in a couple of days.
I do like all of that, and I think that playing momentum, we've had a couple traders on that trade options as well, and they talk about people getting positioned up ahead of earnings, especially on names like this where you're in the right sector. You've got NVDA, hopefully tailwinds, AMD potentially catching some bids today as well, and SMCI levered up there. Nice move to the upside for super micro. All right, I wanted to ask you about Netflix because I feel like I'm getting a little bit too obsessed with the RSI. So come over to, I'm looking at the daily here, and honestly, I'm seeing like the RSI just going lower and lower, maybe finding a base, and maybe I'm way off here, but the last time we started to make some moves, we kind of stopped in and around the 50 spot for RSI, and I know it's just kind of a relative strength, and maybe we're not getting too much strength, but as we sort of barcode here on the daily for Netflix, to me, this name is vulnerable to a bad quarter. If they miss right now, I feel like they're going to get punished pretty bad. We saw JP Morgan not even have that bad of a number, and they fell down because they were priced for perfection. I feel the same thing could be true here for Netflix. Trying to hold on to something could blow out, and if it does, great. But I'm looking at if they miss here, I think this is vulnerable. Maybe even this gap fill back into 500. Maybe that's too egregious, but what do you think on Netflix? Am I being a little too cautious?
No, I don't think you can ever be too cautious ahead of earnings, especially with the stock that has had as good a run as this has, starting the year at 470 and rallying, 30% or so. I would be looking at, yes, the 50-day moving average, and this market has, the stock has corrected through time, waiting for that 50-day moving average. To me, that's bullish. It's more bullish than, had we pulled back to the 50-day moving average over here, I've got the wrong tool on, pull back, over here, a deeper pullback. Instead, we time corrected. So if we get a negative reaction, the first level I would be looking at, Shawn, is this right here. This is the anchor from last quarter's earnings. And that would be at about 585 or so. I think that's your first important level. And then the year-to-date anchor at about 563. Those are the two levels I'd be focused on. And then maybe throw a Fibonacci in there and say, does that help us at all? Not really, just adds another confusing level.
See what? Okay, so right there, Brian, when you said let's add a Fibonacci, I kind of like chuckled a little bit, and then you kind of answered the question that I was going to ask you, and that was sometimes we put too many things up, look at them, and then start to second guess. But I like what you did immediately there. You saw something you didn't. You're like, nah, not worth it. I like that. That shows a good sign. You know what? I put come over here. Look at this. I just drew the anchored view up on this bottom right there at 340, which is where the whole market bottom basically in October. And looky what we see right here too, Brian. Back down to 500 is where I'm seeing right now. That would be pretty unique if we got that. I'm never going to forget that day when we had NVIDIA earnings on, and it was absolutely wild. And I was like, where is it going to stop? And then I happened to have you on. You threw up an anchored VWAP, and it almost stopped. I think it was within like a couple bucks. It might have been 330. I don't remember the exact price. You probably remember that, and that was absolutely epic. So definitely check out some anchored VWAPs there into earnings. All right. We had a question about NCNO. Someone on the chat remembers you talking about that one.
Yes.
We did get a fade in that. So now we're back down to $29 or $30. Again, you know, what is the story with this name? Looked like it was going to break out, and in fact did break out up to 37 and change. We had earnings all the way back in March 26th, if that's correct. But here's the fade back in. Looks like we're getting weaker on NCNO.
Absolutely. This one, if you recall, if we can pull up my screen, we spoke about this 1 week ago today, and we were right here. And what I was saying is if it gets above this level, I want to be a buyer with a stop underneath this higher low.
Right.
I think I'd also drawn in an anchor here, which was below that low. So instead, what we saw happen was the next day, the stock gapped lower below what was to be the stop. So whenever I'm talking about a stock that I'm looking for a swing trade to the long side, if it hits the stop prior to the entry, it completely invalidates the trade. And in this case, by not getting involved, avoided a heck of a loser. As they say, it's better to be on the sidelines wishing you were in than it is to be in wishing you were out. So I never traded that one because it never triggered. That's why we always say when we're buying on strength above a certain level, if it doesn't get there, no tick, no trade. And then once it violates the stop, it's a completely different risk reward setup. And to me, it's off the list unless it sets up again. And this has really surprised me, the magnitude of this pullback, but it's, you know, it shows you why you have risk management tools and rules of engagement and rules to not engage.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and that's a perfect example right there about looking at levels, finding the level, calling it, and then you don't have to execute if it doesn't react your way. So great call there. And I just want to say thank you for that because we were getting a follow-up question on the board. All right, it's 4:30 already. Like when you're having fun, time flies. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. But is there another sort of name like that NCNO? Is there anything else that's sort of like tickling your fancy? Is that something that
GCT might be an interesting one. It kind of trades similar to SMCI. It's a lower price stock. It's above the anchor from the all-time high. It got a little bit extended here today like SMCI did. So I think if you get a pullback, maybe tomorrow down, 34.50-ish, and then back above the 1 and 2 day volume weighted average price levels, that you buy it somewhere above those with a stop below here. And let me just say, so to be clear, if it breaks below here first, that invalidates the trade. I wouldn't be interested in it.
Well, that makes perfect sense. I was just going to try to see when they report. Do you always look for when stocks potentially report before?
I do. Yeah, and on each one of my charts that you can see right up here in the upper corner, upper bar, you see next earnings report is 5/22.
Right.
That's on all of my charts because it's that important. I need to be aware of it.
Yep, I agree. And I was just noticing that one May 23rd, so we are a little ways away. All right, over 2,000 watching. And I want to thank you, Brian. They can go find you at Alpha Trends. Unfortunately, I can't find a copy of your book, but it's absolutely fantastic. Advanced Trading Techniques with a VWAP. What is the title?
What is it called? Maximum Trading Gains with Anchor VWAP. I had to look down.
Maximum Trading Gains. I was like, Advanced Trading Gains? Maximum Trading Gains with your anchored VWAP. Go check him out. It's at Alpha Trends, and it is Brian Shannon. Thank you so much for joining me once again here on a Tuesday.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Ciao. That's Brian Shannon. It really doesn't get much better than that. So I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Shannon one more time as he confirms it is afternoon. So good afternoon, Brian, and thank you one more time for joining. All right, look, I wasn't able to log in. I think I got to update the software over here, to be honest with you. So once we do that, look, we had a couple good trades today, including fading Apple. We actually wound up going 8 for 8 today. But again, we'll hold off on that. Oh, shout out to Adara, who messaged me here today. LVMH actually down today. The world's richest man, Bernard Arnault, with LVMH loses 1.2% of 240 billion today. Net worth, a lot of that tied up in stock. But look at this, man. Ramin, we've got up right now, 2% up. Let's get those bags, but Ramin doesn't have one unless it's a Birkin, so we'll wait for that. Perfume and cosmetic, up 7%. Jewelry and watches, that's surprising, down 2%. Retail, we've talked about that. Sephora, hello. And then right there, wines and spirits, down 12%. Is that a puff, puff, pass problem? LVMH down 12% on liquor. Smartphone, I mean, Samsung retakes the crown there from Apple. We've talked about that one. Very, very interesting. 60 million units sold for Samsung versus Apple's 50 million. But remember, Apple just has the flagship. They do have different sizes. Samsung, I believe, the Fold, a couple different phones in there as well. Hey, look, it's a concern for me. When China comes through and says, we're holding back on buying Apple phones for certain sectors of the government and certain companies, that can't bode well for Apple and that. Anyways, Huawei, Xiaomi, and Samsung all taking market share from that. Look, we just finished what a great day it was there trading, and I feel like we just killed this market recap show. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and make sure that you do join me tomorrow. That is for sure. I'm going to be here at 8:30. That's, rise and shine, baby. Join me, Sticky Note Nation, Traders Stay Late. Thank you to Brian Shannon, and for everybody else out there, good afternoon and good evening. I'm coming home very, very soon. I will see you soon, Marissa, and see everybody tomorrow at 8:30. Follow me on the gram.